of Awaken Your Relationships. I am Julie Murphy, and I am the money chick. But I always say that we either work things out or we act it out, and we do it through our money, through our health, and through our relationships. So Rita here has been helping us over the last year plus, trying to deepen our understanding of our relationships and how we've created what we've got thus far and how to recreate more of what you desire. So thanks, Rita, for coming again.
Absolutely. I love these weekly conversations with you. It's a lot of fun to share what works with women, because they're so stuck. We're so overwhelmed with information. It's hard to know what to do.
That is so true because we tend to be doers, right? We tend to plug into the world. We want to get it done. We want to prove that we deserve to be at the table, right? So many of us women are like fighting a ghost that we never even met.
Right. And people are, one of the problems I had with spirituality and spiritual practices is the words were always so vague. Like they'd say, you just need to meditate more.
It's like, what the heck does that mean?
Yeah, what does it mean? It's like saying to somebody, you just need to have more sex. And you're like, okay, first of all, I have to find a partner. I have to get over all my insecurities. I need to lose 20 pounds. There's all these things that get in the way without, people really don't know where to start. How do you start getting your life back on track?
Yeah, that's so true. And I'm always antsy, right? So I'm not a person who is going to sit down for a very long period of time. And I remember when I first started looking at doing meditation, I was just like, of course I had to do the ones where I was like listening to somebody talking, or I had to have a mantra. So I was doing something, right? I had to like have some active thing. And it's funny, I started that back in 2007 and I've come a long way. And I actually remember it was so funny. I was raised Irish Catholic, and I thought I was like cheating on the Catholic Church by learning to meditate. It was like, oh God. And then I found, at the time I was married, and my ex-husband had this teacher who was a brother at Holy Cross College. And he had said, oh, I meditate in the morning and I pray at night. And I was like, that's all I needed for permission. I was like, okay, so I'm not aligning with the devil, right? Like, and if you think about the stories we tell ourselves, it's so silly, but I just knew it made me feel better. It helped me unplug from the world, and it helped me to, just really find that peace and calm. And some people will find it, walking out in nature. That could be a meditation. It could be, cooking. Sometimes it's whatever that thing is that, some people do artwork. Some people play instruments. Some people, whatever it is that puts you in a meditative state. And I just think it's really important, the fact that you start wherever you're at, because it really doesn't matter how you start. It's just about the fact that you're starting to say, you know what, I don't want to keep plugging into the world this way and keep creating what I've been creating. I want to plug in a different way. And how do I interrupt that system that's going up in your noodle, right? How do we create something different?
Exactly. I like to think of meditation as intentional prayer. Prayer is what we think all the time is what we end up creating in our lives.
Right.
So if we're thinking, God, that's so stupid, or if we're thinking, what the hell is wrong with them? Or if we're thinking, what the hell is wrong with me?
Right.
If we're thinking those things of how am I going to get everything done? Where is this going to go? What should I do next? That's what you're creating. You're creating inside of yourself, creating and recreating and reinforcing doubt and insecurity and instability. You keep creating it inside of yourself.
Right.
And you act that way out in the world.
Right.
I would always have the tendency to be a little bit of a bully sometimes because I didn't have a lot of patience. And people would come to me and I'd look at them and think, God, you're just, you're being such a victim. And I would behave in a bullying way. And it wasn't that they needed to change. It was that I needed to change. I needed to stop looking at them as a victim. I needed to stop looking at myself as a victim.
Right.
And take back my power. And So prayer is what we think all the time, all that negative thinking.
Yep.
Meditation is choosing to think something else.
Well, and I always talk about that. I've used and I've wrote in my book, Awaken Your Wealth, that meditation is listening to God or the universe or whatever it is. And prayer is talking. So like you're putting in your order and then you're listening to how to get guidance. And it's this process. And it's not tagged to any religion, it could just be that you're talking to your higher self. Like I don't want to get hung up on semantics, because some people really get offended one way or the other. And to me, it's like, no. Can we just focus on what you're trying to accomplish and what's the most effective way to accomplish what it is that you really dream and desire to accomplish for your life? And if you can start to, again, interrupt the limiting belief patterns that you have going on, or the stories. I'll just say stories. We've all created stories. Like I had a huge story. Just, watch my videos over time of me going through the divorce and things. Those are stories. And yes, they are experiences, but my story was different than his story. And is that good or bad? Well, it's just your experience based on what your perception was at that moment in time. And if you really want to create something different in your life, you have to start telling yourself different stories. And you really have to release that past. And I remember, Rita, you've helped me through a ton of this stuff where, I have to forget everything that happened in the courtroom with our kids, how it all lit up, because it was a trauma meeting a trauma, right? His trauma from his childhood, my trauma from my childhood. It was like Clash of the Titans. Right? And so I have, and some people be like, I can't believe you're going to go, no, I can't plug in there anymore. I don't want more of that. I want this. And the visualization and the meditation really, really creates emotional space, because you can breathe deeper then, like physiologically. Like you could probably talk more about that how does this affect people physiologically?
Oh, yeah. I mean, and when I talk about meditation, I try to be in meditation anytime I'm not talking to somebody. Anytime I'm not actively engaged with expressing myself to someone outside of me and I'm in my own head, I'm focusing on what do I want to be thinking. Now, sometimes that's really hard because our bodies are telling us that we need to fight or we need to shut down or we have no energy, or it's telling us, like you said, those stories.
Right.
And so what I do is I have a set number of either prayers or mantras or visuals or smells, or tastes,
right,
that are in my okay box. These are good tools to use box.
Right.
So I don't have to think about it. I don't have to do anything. I can just say, oh, I'm not calling people a piece of garbage anymore in my head because I'm tired of my body pumping out all of this cortisol every time I think that. And
oh, how true is that? Okay, that's the piece. Can I highlight that for people? It's about when you tell yourself these stories, the cortisol, or like you're a piece of crap, blah, blah, that only affects you because the cortisol shoots through your system, makes it so that you can't lose weight, makes it so that you want to like binge eat or binge drink or go smoke, or like it creates all this physical addiction, I'm going to call it, because I realized in the process that I was addicted to the cortisol that was shooting through my system. No different than you can be addicted to something that's like
heroin.
Right. Like,
in fact, it's just as strong.
Yeah. Like we don't realize that that's physiologically what we're doing to ourselves. And that's why we have to, and I realized this because I was starting to get IVs and just to really pump the vitamins into my system, because I knew physiologically all the stress of everything was really actually physically affecting me, and my microbiome and my gut and everything was just imploding through all the stress. And I think we've had a little stress over the last year and a half in the world. So you too have cortisol. Everybody's got this cortisol at different levels pumping through their system of how much ease and grace or lack thereof that we've had over the last couple of years. And so I realized when I was getting these IVs, they said, well, would you like some magnesium? And I was like, yeah. And then I was like on cloud 9. I was like, I want to feel like this every day. And it was magnesium. And what was fascinating to me is years ago, if you're familiar with Carolyn Mace or Dr. Norm Shealy, Dr. Norm Shealy is the one who actually founded Carolyn Mace. And she's a medical intuitive, for those of you who don't know. And Dr. Norm Shealy is actually a neurologist in Missouri. And he always says that your DHE levels in your body shrink as you age, and you will age faster. So the cortisol causes you to age faster. And he said, so all you have to do to off balance that is he would recommend magnesium lotion. And he has magnesium lotion because your skin is the best way to absorb it, not pills, but lotion. And so then when I started to go to these IV places and I was like, oh, this is familiar. Dr. Norm Shealy, I have the lotion underneath in my bathroom sink. Of course, do I put it on every day? No, I wasn't doing that, right? Because we often don't do exactly what we know is best for us every day. But physiologically, it's no joke how this cortisol really screws with us. And this is where creating a life that you love and relationships that you love are so important. The key is having the courage to step into things that could make your cortisol shoot up temporarily. But how do you counteract that? And what's your toolbox, right?
Yeah, well, let me give people a visual. So your body is like Play-Doh. It's constantly adapting to what you need or what you're using or what you don't. Like I can look at somebody who broke their arm when they were a kid and didn't have good rehab on it, and now they're 60. And I can be like, hey, did you break your arm when you were a kid? Because they sucked it in and they didn't use it for things, and it's still sucked in, and the body said, oh, you're not using this, so we're going to shorten the muscles, and now we're going to make it freeze so that it doesn't move because you're not using it. You don't need it.
Right.
It's the same thing with what we put in our body or what chemicals our body releases. If we're in a place of being freaked out all the time, anxious, worried, uncomfortable, our body, our hypothalamus pumps out, it says, okay, we're going to pump out cortisol. You need to run away. You need to protect yourself. And your cells get rid of the cell receptors for happy chemicals, like joy and peace. They get rid of them because you don't need them, because you're not pumping those chemicals through your system. And it creates more cell receptors for cortisol and stress chemicals.
So everything comes together, right?
Yeah. And so now you have a body that's craving cortisol because it's got all these receptors to be filled. And so you're scanning your environment constantly for things that'll piss you off, that'll make your brain release cortisol so your body can say, this is what I wanted. This is the juice. This is the stuff that I wanted. And every negative thought you think, like, why is that guy tailing me? Or what the hell is wrong with them? Or why are they so negative? Every time you think those things, your body goes, oh, yeah, give us a little bit more of that juice. Give us a little bit more of what we want. And you literally have to say, when you notice yourself thinking, God, that guy's a jerk. You have to say to yourself, I don't want to keep doing this to myself. I don't want to keep tearing myself down physically. I want to feel good and happy and healthy, which means that I need to focus on something that releases joy chemicals.
Right.
That releases happy chemicals. And the only way to do it is to, in your brain, I almost look at it as a plug in a wall. I'm unplugging from the stuff that makes me angry, And I'm purposely plugging into the stuff that makes me happy.
Right.
And you can do it with music. I keep happy playlists around. My favorite song is Let Your Love Flow. Because
mine's 10,000 Maniacs. These are the days.
Yeah, something that lifts you up. And if I have to listen to it in the early days, I get angry, and I would have to listen to this song for an hour and a half over and over and over until the words started to penetrate my brain. My brain started to entrain to let your love flow, instead of why is this happening to me? And who do I blame? Instead of, I purposely thought of something that makes me happy. And it could be a prayer. Lately, for a while, I used let go, let God.
Because
because it's a safe word.
Right.
I know I can't go wrong by saying let go, let God in my head for days on end. I'm not going to get myself in trouble. My body's not going to release more cortisol. I'm not going to rip my body apart. I'm not going to keep feeding my addiction if I keep mantraing let go, let God until the feeling passes. And here's what happens. When you choose something happy instead of something that makes you angry, you start to change your body. And it will let go of the past emotions, because you're not feeding it and recreating it. And it will start to create more cell receptors for joy and happiness. And it'll start to crave that. And you'll start to look for more opportunities that make you happy. And so let's say somebody is tailing you and making you angry because they're right on your bumper.
Right.
And then they turn off. You're now still angry, probably for at least an hour, a couple hours, maybe.
Cortisol, yeah.
And then you go home and you blame your kids, or you blame your dog, or you blame your spouse, or you blame you, or you blame your clients. And so this guy tailing you for 10 minutes has now ruined your entire day. Whereas if while they're tailing you, you're thinking to yourself, let go, let God, let go, let God, let go, let God, let go, let God, let go, because they're safe. You don't let yourself think other things. When the guy turns off, now you're free to think of something that makes you happy.
Right.
Because you haven't been reinforcing all the negative, angry thoughts that you have and feelings that you have. Your body's able to detox the reaction you had. You're able to pee it out or sweat it out. I'll get hot. If I don't react to something, if I don't let my thoughts obsess, I will have a physical release. I'll shake, I'll cry, I'll have a heat, I'll get hot. Something will happen to release it.
It's even like I told that to my son the other day. He was, my oldest started playing football, and I told him, I go, you have not moved really much in the last year and a half, except for like walking, and I go, dude, you've put on a few pounds. I go, so there's feelings that you haven't felt. And so when you start to feel those feelings, when you get that nauseousness or whatever that is, like, everyone always thinks that's a bad thing. And I was like, dude, go in the bathroom and throw up. And he's like, what? You want me to throw up? And I'm like, yes, go throw up, because that's just the old gunk in how you were plugging into the world before to release and get out really fast. Yep. And really I learned I learned that when I was doing energy sessions and meditation stuff with Panache Desai. I would have these massive physiological effects because it was so strong and so intense of a vibration in the other end of the pendulum than where I was operating from, that it was like, whoa! And it was like, oh my God, that's not good. And so it's fascinating to me. And I wanted to mention to people, like you were saying, like, let go, let God. My big one lately is, and I think this is true for a lot of people, that layers of fear is coming up for people, right? And pick the next, just the fact that we're going through another round of whatever you want to call it with the pandemic. And I just like walk around and go, I am trusting. So when I'm at a disconnect with something, but I will use that as even my mantra in my meditations of saying, I am trusting. What it does is it disconnects my brain from everything else from the day that is going on. Like my kids, and do I have lunch money? Do I have enough for dinner? And what I got to make for dinner tonight? And blah, 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 blah. And what kind of bus ride am I going to take today? Shipping my kids everywhere they got to go. Right. So if I could just sit and be like, I am trusting. Like, so whatever it is, I want to encourage everyone that's watching that whatever it is, I want you to release. You can create to be, it doesn't have to be somebody else's meditation video or somebody else's,
right.
You can make it up as you go.
You can be thinking, let go, let God, as you're doing laundry, driving your kids to school, or making dinner.
Right. So true.
And that's the meditation. The meditation is simply unplugging from what's going on in your head and focusing on something that's life affirming.
So true.
And if you keep doing that, then you start to train your brain and your body to want to be in that space of flow, to want to feel good. So we are literally create the reality we feel inside of ourselves by the thoughts that we think. And everybody talks about their monkey mind and I can't shut my mind off. And I'm saying, don't shut your mind off. I'm saying, let yourself obsess, but obsess about something that's life affirming, not about something that's life destroying.
Exactly.
And
super important.
When I'm not actively problem solving something, my brain is in a higher thought process. One that's saying, wow, what a beautiful day. Oh, look, I love how this smells. And it's very intentional because I know my body wants to take me back to, oh my God, the world's coming to an end. Because It's the hit. It's the physical hit we're looking for. It has nothing to do with what's actually happening. Have you ever had an experience where one day somebody did something and it really made you angry? And then the next day they did the exact same thing. And not only did it not bother you, but maybe you were happy that they did it.
Yeah.
A whole different
set of circumstances.
But it was the exact same thing.
Right.
The only thing that changed is one day you were in a bad mood and the next day you were in a good mood.
That's so true.
The only thing that changed. And so if you want to have a good life, you need to be in a good mood.
Right.
If you want to be in a good mood, you have to purposely, intentionally think good thoughts and do things that make your body feel good. If you do things that make your body feel bad, if you think things that aren't life affirming, then of course that's what you're going to feel, and everybody's going to screw you over. And then somebody's
true.
Yeah, somebody's going to come into your life. They're going to do something innocent. You're going to attack them, and now you've created an enemy. And that's how we create it outside of ourselves. Innocent people are walking into our space, and we think that they're evil, and we're turning them into unfriends, non-friends.
Right.
That's how
Well, I think we really need to look at then how that, how does that leak into relationships, right? So that leaks into our relationships because however it is that the grooves have been built in your brain is how you're responding, to the world. So when my kids transitioned to my house yesterday, I was like, oh, wow, their nervous systems are all a little hijacked. They're all a little reactive. And I'm just going, okay, so I'm going to hold safe container. And I know it's Labor Day weekend, right? So they were out having a blast and, they had all these experiences. And so I just sat there going, all right, well, what do we want to create here? Calm and peace and loving. And I had to giggle because later on that day, my boyfriend sends me a text message. So how's it going being the fun mom? Because I was like, you know what? I just want to provide levity and fun. It doesn't have to be daunting that school is starting. It doesn't have to be daunting that you're wearing masks at school. It doesn't have to be daunting that you're learning flag football for the first time. It's all in our perception in how we approach things. And I cannot stress enough how important it is to really visualize the creation that you want to have in your relationships, whether it's with your kids or with a spouse or a partner. I don't care. Even your coworkers at work, like whatever you choose to focus on is exactly what you're going to get more of. You know, like
I've got
one
a
of my
great
mentors.
example of this. Yeah, I've got a
Great.
wonderful example of this. So I was stressed out the majority of my life, and I've had allergies most of my life. And for a period of time, I would wake up at like 2 a.m. and I would crave milk. So I'd go and I'd have half a glass of milk. The problem is I was lactose intolerant.
Minor technicalities.
Minor technicality, but I wasn't really making the connection, you know?
Right.
And I would wake up and I would be in a rage because my body felt so terrible. I would puke every morning. I was nauseous. It was horrible. This went on for years. And my husband would, I don't know, to try to make me feel better or something, because I was in a bad mood, he'd lay at my feet, gazing at me lovingly. And all I really wanted to do was punch him in the face. I wanted him to leave me alone so I could suffer in silence by myself and I didn't have to pretend to be nice. And so I look at him thinking, this is not his fault. He didn't do anything. He's trying to be nice, and I want to rip his throat out. So I purposely started to think, I love you. I love you. I love you. And I'd stare at him and I wanting to harm him, and just kept mantraing, I love you in my brain.
Yeah.
Right? What happened was when I realized that I was lactose intolerant and I stopped drinking milk at 2 a.m. and I started avoiding things that made me feel bad, now I could look at him and not be so angry, wake up and not be so angry. And I had these great grooves, like a record in my brain that said, I love you.
Yeah.
I've been with him for 29 years now. We've been together a long time. And so now when I look at him, I get this hit of joy because my thoughts, I programmed them to look at him and think, I love you, no matter what he's doing. And because I'm approaching him and treating him and feeling, and he can feel it, my love for him, he becomes a better man. Because now he feels good and he wants to give back. So I literally had to take myself out of that overwhelm of rage that I had every day.
Yep.
And decide I wanted to think something differently, not because he was an amazing human being, but because I was tired of being so angry.
Right.
And so I'd mantra it and mantra it and mantra it. And when things naturally change, which they do, we find solutions to our problems.
Right.
Now I was ready to love him, and my thoughts kept giving me the joy hit, the chemical hit. So he's one of the easiest ways I can find to bring myself up is just look at him and my mind automatically thinks, gosh, I love you. And then my body sends serotonin rushing through it.
The feel-good drug.
The feel-good drug. We got opiates running through us. We are the best pharmaceutical. Our body is the best pharmaceutical company. We create the best drugs. And so you create the drugs by what you think. So if you want good drugs, you got to think good thoughts. Yep. Whether it's let go and let God, or God is wonderful, or isn't that flower beautiful, or gee, I love myself.
But when you're crabby, like that's where it can work the opposite for you. If you're crabby, angry, lashing out, projecting stuff, cortisol shifts through and it destroys your health.
Destroys your health.
Destroys
everything about your health, because your body's going into survival mode. And in survival mode, your digestive system shuts down. Your immune system gets suppressed. They did this neat research experiment around chocolate cake. And they had, I love science. I love the science of body mind. So they had two groups. And one group, they read a little thing about how this wonderful, amazing chocolate cake would make them happy and how good it was and blah,
Right.
blah, blah. And they ate the chocolate cake and their immune system got stronger. Other people who read a little thing before eating the chocolate cake was chocolate cake is bad for you. This is what it does to you. This is how it makes you feel. This is blah, blah, blah. And the people who ate the chocolate cake, their immune system got suppressed.
Right.
So it wasn't about the chocolate cake. It was never about the chocolate.
It was about how you approached the chocolate cake.
It was the thoughts you had in your head around the chocolate cake that made the chocolate cake either good for you or bad for you.
Yep.
That's it.
Well, it's interesting that you say that. So linking that to relationships. So like in my own world, I would sit there and I was having different reality experiences for sure. But I just kept going, when I would be the most angry at my ex-husband, I would be like, will you get into that big, beautiful heart of yours, please? Like I'd be talking to the ethers, but it's like, that's what I was visualizing. That's what I was. And it's funny. There are glimpses of that more and more every day, which on some level, even though I teach this stuff, it's like still floors me because, it was extreme in my world, right? Like $600,000 we paid in 11 months to get divorced. It was like attack on me. But to me, it was like, to everything that you're saying, I was interrupting the cortisol. I was interrupting, and I early on didn't do so good at it, but just kept doing it. And every day I got better and better and better. Now, 3 years later, I'm sitting here going, will you just get it in your big, beautiful heart, please? And then I just let it go. And then I start to see glimpses of, hey, by the way, I just want to tell you, I did this for you. Are you okay with that? I'm like, thank you. Because that's where then the gratitude comes in. So it raises his serotonin, raises my serotonin, raises the kid's serotonin. Like, we have to understand that this at a micro level, this is how we're creating our lives and our relationships. Mm-hmm. Like, it is not the other person. You are co-creator.
Yes.
And decide what you want to co-create. And decide, you want serotonin pumping through your system or do you want cortisol pumping through your system? It's your choice. Mm-hmm. People don't know that that's actually their choice. Mm-hmm. And I really would encourage everybody to start to step into that empowerment, right?
Yep. We give up our power to other people, our power of how we can feel. We say, I'm going to let the guy who's riding my butt on the highway make me feel angry for the rest of the day. So I yell at my kids.
Right.
That's what we're basically saying. We're pretending like we're victims. We're acting like we've got no power over how we feel.
Right.
Now imagine if we teach kids this. If we teach kids that they have the power over how they feel and no one can make them feel any way they don't want to feel. When they imagine who they're going to become. And that's really what we're doing this for. Not necessarily to save ourselves, although you get saved in the process, but to make the whole next generation, all of our daughters and all of our sons, healthy, balanced, happy people, no matter what's happening, whether you're in the middle of a pandemic, whether, they're being attacked by a coyote, it doesn't matter. All that stuff is none of that other stuff changes. The only thing that changes is how you feel about it.
Well, and that goes back to the fact that we all as a society need to shift from an external referral system to an internal referral system. Because I really hear this loud and clear. We live in a holographic universe, which means it's like a mirror. So whatever you vibrate and put out there comes back at you. So if you're putting the cortisol out there, the cortisol is coming back at you. Somebody's going to provoke the heck out of you, because that's the vibe you're putting out there.
Oh yeah. And it's physical. Everybody can feel it. They did this study where people who were chronically angry got attacked by strangers more often than people who weren't. So if you're chronically angry and you're walking down the street, you're more likely to be attacked by a mugger, by somebody punching you in the face, by, someone taking their anger out on you, than if you send out a different wavelength, which everybody can feel. Everybody can feel you when you're mad. Everybody can feel you when you're happy.
Right. And that's where the internal referral system is like, no matter what kind of ripples are going on around you, you're calm and peaceful. And it was really interesting. I was illustrated this from my kids' school, some of the parents. It was very interesting to get attacked on Facebook the other day because I was just like I was asking people to just consider how you're looking at something. Is it coming from a place of fear, or is it coming from a place of reality? And to just really understand, because in my process I've understood, oh wow, yeah, I was triggered because I feared the outcome. Because remember, I'm a financial planner, so I'm always 10 steps ahead, right? That's the way I'm naturally wired. But I was realizing that because of my trauma from my childhood, that anytime something came at me, the way it got evaluated was through the fear button. And so that fear button would then increase cortisol, and I was like, you know what? I'm just not going to be afraid. And I laughed. I go, maybe a part of this whole process is me actually just not plugging in the way people are plugging into the fear, because I'm really kind of on the other side of that. Not that it doesn't creep up, but it's just like, I just can't, it's very interesting because I even had one of my grammar school teachers came in and go, at some point you just have to trust and have faith. And, and certainly she was a Catholic grade school teacher, so she's very religious. But it was funny how we've lost faith in our societies. We've lost trust in our communities because not everything has been done as a good steward. Like there's been, a mixed bag. And so again, we can't necessarily change all that around us. This is that external piece I'm talking about. All you can do is decide how you're going to plug in, and be like, yeah, I just can't be like those moms that attacked me on Facebook the other day from my kids' school.
They'll always exist. I mean, hyenas will always exist. Predators will always exist.
Yeah, it's like the light and the dark. It's always got to be the yin and the yang. It's like the tug and the pull of the universe.
They all exist. They're all there. And if you can recognize that, oh, that's a hyena, that's a coyote, that's an oak tree, that's a hibiscus flower. If you can let down your emotions and see things clearly, then it stops bothering you. But that's the trick, isn't it? So I keep a lot of hacks, a lot of things around to help my body feel the way I want it to feel. Right. So I keep singing bowl YouTube videos always queued up. I keep my essential oils everywhere. I keep stuff that tastes good everywhere, high quality food, because when I'm triggered, and as a sensitive empath with trauma, I can get triggered very easily. As soon as I notice that triggering happening, like my body's shutting down and it's angry and it's heavy and my mind's starting to obsess, I immediately pick up my essential oils and I'll smell like 4 or 5 or 6 of them for about 10 minutes. I'll just keep rotating them because essential smell talks directly to your amygdala, to your primal brain. So I'll start with that. And it could be cinnamon out of your cupboard. It could be your favorite perfume. But I just keep
flowers.
I keep using that sense of smell to pull me out of it. And then I'll use sound and music to pull me out of it. So instead of, let's say the guy's following me on the highway again, and I'm triggered and pissed off because I'm scared he's going to hit me and then I'm going to end up in an accident and dead. I have my essential oils in my car. I start smelling them. I put on my radio, some singing bowl Tibetan thing for wishes and manifestation. I start doing deep breathing exercises. I start letting my eyes go back and forth while I'm driving to calm my amygdala down. I'll take a mint out of my, little mint container and I'll eat a mint.
Well, and these are all things too, like while you're doing your meditations, like I burn candles when I meditate or do these. Like this is an abundance one because there's abundance for everybody. And I also have ones that are positive energy, right? And it could be the incense that you're burning. So these are all things that if you've got, while you're going through the meditations and the visualizations of what you want to create in your life, if you're having a tough time because you're stuck in a rut, which we all get there at some point, like do these things that will help to curve, that struggling cycle, that suffering cycle.
Right. So then the outcome is, okay, the guy followed me, I got triggered, but in 10 minutes, I now feel happy and better because I've been smelling cardamom and lavender, and I love those, and listening to great music that I love, and eating a small piece of chocolate that tastes delicious, versus being pissed off underneath the surface all day, scanning, looking for other things to piss me off. It builds up, and then I finally take it out in an inappropriate way on people that I love or on myself. I eat chips, I'll eat sugar and fat. I'll make mistakes. I'll spend too much time on Netflix or Facebook. I'll do all these coping strategies that just wasted my day.
Right.
Versus if I spend the 10 minutes and do things that make me feel happy, I'm only attached to this feeling for 10 minutes, not for days and years and months on end. A waste of your life.
Right. It is a waste of your life, because the most precious thing we have is time. And the question is with that time, how do you want to plug in? And that even means that if you're in a relationship that is not serving your highest and best, I'll tell you, I mean, there was nobody divorced in my family. There was we didn't do those things. And I remember one of my mentors saying to me, because it was really hard for me to sign my divorce papers because I was the one that filed. And she said to me, Julie, it's because Julie doesn't fail at anything. And I was like, oh, so if you're not in that relationship, I knew that if I stayed because of what I teach, physiologically, I would get sick. I had the warning signs. I was doing tests at the hospital for different things because something was off in my physical system. Our bodies are screaming to us what those answers are. And it's just that we have to find the courage to step into it before the crisis hits you.
Yeah, the courage and the support, because we're really not meant to do this by ourselves. It's one of the reasons that both you and I coach, is because trying to do it on your own, it's nearly impossible. But when you have somebody that you're texting every day or sending an email to or having a phone call with, somebody who's on your side, then you get just enough oomph, to make the choices. I'm working with a woman who wants to start a new business, wants to work with Arbonne. And the only thing she needs is just a little bit of a boost, someone to be like, hey, how's it going today? Or send me a picture of, this thing that you did. We just need somebody in our corner, a community to help us out of our, because otherwise.
Well, that's where it could also be what from a meditation standpoint, if you are not one that actually will hold yourself accountable, well, then just, I've sent plenty of clients, 8 a.m. Central Time. People are on, I send them to Panache Desai's website because every morning, 8 a.m., he's got people on there. And I know exactly what he's going to provide for people, and it's okay. And it's
the safe box.
Whatever that is that supports you, right?
Yes. You have to have the box of things you've already vetted that when you don't know what to do, you can turn to that will make you feel better.
Exactly.
And so you have to take a little bit of time and say, okay, this is in my safe box. Let go and let God can almost never go wrong, or the Lord's Prayer. How are you going to go wrong with that if you obsess about it? You can go very wrong if you obsess about how somebody screwed you over and how you're going to get back at them and what do they mean and what does it say about me. That'll get you into, that's a slippery slope.
Well, and it's funny because I've had that slope and watch the people around you because I pay alimony and I pay a lot of alimony, tax-free. And people would be like, are you not, they try to get me into the negative talk about it. I'm like, no, I actually chose that. I chose exactly that. Why? Because I wanted the fight to stop So I paid him off so that it would stop. And I gave him a really good piece of chocolate, if you will, right?
And I'm
But
grateful.
I consciously chose that. I stepped into that from an empowered place as opposed to being disempowered and thinking like, because I just always knew something, it would all work its way out. I don't know how, I don't know what, but I know that because I wanted the energy. I could have spent the next couple of years in that same toxic energy and get sick anyway, or I could stop the process and then start rebuilding on the other side.
Yeah.
And, so we really have to see how we're plugging in from an empowered state versus a big victim and scarcity state. Because again, that ties back to the cortisol or the serotonin and really shifting it. And trust me, not easy. It is absolutely not easy.
Even if you don't have the courage right now to, serve the divorce papers or walk away from a narcissist or any of that stuff, it starts with, I'm not going to allow myself to think those things which are destroying me. I'm only going to allow myself to think those things which lift me up. And what happens is it's like taking vitamins. You start to get stronger and stronger until you're ready to serve the divorce papers. You're ready to walk out. So your options are, you can either wait until the next step is death and destruction. You can wait till you've got no choice.
Right.
Or you can decide, I'm going to start building this muscle up now and get ready, because I'm going to be ready one of these days. And when I'm ready, I'm going to be in a strong place. I'm going to feel comfortable and confident, and I'll be able to pull the chute. I'll be able to.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Rita, I absolutely love, we continue to get little nuggets from you every week that help everybody on their journey in their relationships and in their life. And how can people get a hold of you? They want to do some one-on-one or some group stuff.
They can find me at ritahickmancoaching.com and sign up for my emails, because then you get daily doses or like weekly doses of, hey, you can do this. We're in this together. I've got tons of videos on YouTube. So if you do a little search for me, Rita Hickman on YouTube, you'll find years worth of how to deal with narcissists. If you find me on Facebook, if you type in Rita Hickman on Facebook and friend me, then you get constant drips and updates of who you are and who you want to be and how to get there. You finally get some stability, a wise, grounded, practical voice that can get you out of the rut that you're in, so that you can start making better choices and treat yourself better.
Well, and I will tell you that that's how I found you. You popped up in my news feed on Facebook, and you interrupted my suffering process because I had just filed for divorce. And when you were talking, I was going, oh my God, this is exactly what's going on in my world and why I can't step into the next pace. And so I would encourage those of you who are watching, if you haven't watched any of Rita's stuff, it will get you to that next right step in your world.
When I feel the same way about you and money and the wisdom the wisdom you've accumulated around it, because it's the same thing. It's just, through a different lens. But there's a lot of work involved to change how you feel.
Right. And we have this cool little thing now. So thank you for saying that, because I'm giving away my book, Awaken Your Wealth, for free. All you have to do is pay for your own shipping. So you can just click or go to awakenyourwealthbook.com. We are here to help you not only fiscally get you to where you want to be, but also experience what I call real wealth in your life, which means wealth and abundance in your family life, your relationships, your health, and your money, because it's all intertwined.
And you find the person that you like. If you resonate with Julie, follow your curiosity. If you resonate with me, follow your curiosity. Let that higher voice be your guide to get your way out.
It's beautiful. Well, Rita, until next week, my friend, we'll see everybody soon. Bye.
See everybody soon. Bye. Thanks, Julie.